Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 22nd of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. We've got yesterday morning, I was talking on the pre-market webinar about the week 6-minute sell signal here, and I was talking about a period of consolidation. And so far, we've been sideways to very slightly up. This is a potential small double top. This is the only bearish day this week historically, and we could see this little double top play out today. But I think we're likely to see a retest of the all-time high pretty soon, and the same goes for NQ, which came very close to it yesterday. We've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed there too. RTY, we had a sort of odd spike down in the morning, which actually made the possible near-miss target on the week 60-minute sell signal there. Nothing really compelling in terms of a short-term topping pattern. Nothing really on NQ either. In terms of YM, YM went up and retested the high yesterday, so that is knocked off, and the other ones I'm mainly looking for here are ES and NQ, with a possibility that we do the same on RTY. DAX, we've got a potential little double top here. No current negative divergence, not really expecting it to play out, but potentially yes. I think after that, this may go back and retest the high. This is too large to be a bull flag, so it isn't necessarily going there, but I'm not seeing anything compelling saying this short-term move is finishing. And ESTX, this looks like a little bull flag forming at the moment. Obviously, we've retested the high there already. All right, let's have a look at the SPX chart. Okay. Looking at the daily chart, obviously we're back over the daily middle band, and yesterday we confirmed the close over the daily middle band, and we did that pretty much across the board. Qs was already over it, so we've now had 2 days over it. Dia broke above it, and we've now reached the got slightly over the upper band, and is getting a little close to the 3SD upper band. So that is performing, exactly as it should. Right, short term, what are we looking at here? We're looking at on SPX, we've almost got back up to, we got to 67.52 yesterday, another 12 handles and a small amount of change, and we are back at the retest of the high, and that's where I'm thinking we may well get a fail or fairly close to it. We've got a little RSI 14 sell signal fixed, RSI 5 sell signal fixed, nothing on the RSI 14, and unless we go significantly higher, we're probably not going to see anything. On the Qs, we've got, sure, that's a sell signal actually. No, so I think we're still waiting. I think there is one brewing at the moment, but it's not particularly well formed. 15-minute chart, we got really close yesterday. The all-time high is at 613.18. We got up to 612.80. I'm leaning towards that being hit and wondering whether we may see a retracement there. 15-minute, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal there. Sorry, I haven't updated it, but that is still playing out. And but we can see the retest of the high before that happens, or we can see another day's consolidation. Looking at the Dia charts, no current divergence, but it would be very easy to set up some hourly sell signals here with just another retest of yesterday's high. But we've already made the retest here, so we've got a potential little double top. No divergence on the 15-minute. All right, let's have a look at the IWM chart. IWM, we've got on the daily chart, we've still got daily RSI 14 sell signals fixed across the board. Of course, we got back below the daily middle band, and we've spent the last 2 days above it. So, wondering about a retest of the high here. In terms of the hourly chart, no divergence. Nope, that's not true. We've got a little RSI 5 sell signal here, but it's almost reached the possible near-miss target. Looking at IWM, we've got a little RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the 15-minute. So possible little double top here, but we will see how that goes. I'm not really leaning towards a big retracement here, but it's only a small double top. It could potentially play out. Looking at DAX, over the daily middle band, confirmed the close over the daily middle band. leaning towards seeing a retest of the high, but not as much conviction as I have on the others. Looking at the Nikkei charts, we have gone higher again, and we've got obviously a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing here, but I don't have any obvious reason for or place for this move to finish. So I'm watching with interest and seeing where it lands to see whether it gives us any bigger trend lines. So we shall see. All right, let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, there was a possibility we might be forming a little head and shoulders here, but we've been moving beyond that. We've got an IHS which is broken up with a target in about the 99.10 area, I think, and I'm liking that to make target, and I'm liking this heading back into a retest of the high and potentially heading higher from there. We have got a weak 6-minute sell signal that's fixed. That we could lose divergence on that today. It's a pretty weak sell signal. USD, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing, but again, we can lose that divergence. GBP made the sell signal target. USD JPY, this has broken up from this falling megaphone. This actually looks like a flag, so I'm leaning towards this heading back up into a retest of this high. USD CAD, this is a pretty nice bull flag. Again, that leans bullish for the US dollar. Australian dollar, nothing really happening here. Looks kind of like a bearish consolidation, which would fit, and this looks like a bear flag on NZ, which would fit. So really, everything's agreeing that in all probability the dollar is going to continue rising. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts there. Okay, US dollar on the monthly chart. I'm watching because obviously we're coming up to the end of the month. I've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing on the monthly, and I'd like to see that fix. We will see how that goes. But the big resistance up here isn't until on the monthly chart, isn't until we reach the 102.5 area, where we've got the monthly middle band and the 50-month moving average. Looking at the weekly chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 buy signal fix. We've now made target on the RSI 5 buy signal. We will see how it goes, but I think we've got no current divergence on the daily chart, but we've obviously got this lovely looking double bottom here, and what I'm looking for is a test of the double bottom resistance at 126, and then a move up into the double bottom target, which would be up in the 104.1 to 104.3524 area. It may be that that's as far as this rally is going to get, but I'm leaning strongly towards it getting that far. We will see how it goes, but I think that is looking pretty good. We had a little breakdown below the rising support here, but that's just establishing a less steep support trend line, in my view, or at least most likely. Now, in terms of the overall buy setup on US dollar, in terms of the overall target here for this flag, if it breaks up, which would be at 107.5, then the target would be a retest of the high here at 114.78. Very nice bull flag here on the US dollar, very nice corresponding bear flag here on the euro. Very nice looking bear flag on GBP as well. So I'm liking that. I am wondering about the mechanics of actually getting there, but I'm very much liking the setup, and I think we'll have a better idea when we get back up to 104. We've got RSI 5 buy signal here on GBP has reached the possible near miss target, so disregarding that pretty much at the moment. USD JPY, I'm leaning towards seeing retest of 162, but we've got a very nice megaphone here suggesting that resistance would be not too far above that. Looking at the daily chart, no current divergence. Trying to break over this trend line here and probably likely to do so in my view. USD CAD, lovely overall double top here, but again, we'd be hitting resistance if we got up into about the 1.47 to 1.48 area. I'm leaning towards seeing the retest, and I'm wondering whether we're going to see a fail there, which is one reason that I'm talking about a possible fail at 104 on DX. Looking at the daily charts, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on USD CAD, which hasn't been delivering anything so far, but obviously I'm watching. That is a weak signal though. Actually, I've marked that in incorrectly as a full signal. Australian dollar. We got very slightly through this resistance here, but the obvious thing to do next actually would be to come back and retest this low at 55.1. That would be a match with the dollar going up. No divergence on the daily chart. NZ, no divergence on the daily chart either. I think the situation on NZ is we could easily come down and test this support here in the 55 area, but there would be some very decent support there. So again, we might see that would all fit with the US dollar going to 104. Beyond that, we've got a very big inflection point there, and it may be that we would see DX fail there. All right, let's have a look at the bonds. All right, looking at ZB. ZB, we've now got a possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing. We retested this high as expected. We've got a possible overall double top here, and I'm watching to see whether or not we're going to turn here. ZN, I was saying that it needed to go a little bit higher to retest this high, and it's pretty much retested it almost to the tick, I think. So not sure it's actually quite made it all the way. Might do that today, but this is now a very nice looking double top, and that's what I'm treating it as potentially. Okay, let's have a look at, wait a second. All right, let's have a look at TYX. Now, TYX, do we have any positive divergence here? It's slim. You will notice, though, that on the retest, we came down and tested this support trend line that I'd drawn in. I'm thinking this is a bull flag. And this is the inflection point where we find out whether or not I'm right. Looking at the TNX daily weekly chart, we've got possible buy signal brewing on the RSI 5. On the daily chart, we've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. Nothing obviously on the RSI 14. Looking at the hourly chart, RSI 14 buy signal fixed, which hasn't delivered anything so far. Still a pretty decent looking double bottom. And on TLT, this doesn't look like a double top, and it's retraced 100% of this move back to basically this high here. Could this be a double bottom? No, it is too large. But looking at the daily chart, no current negative divergence. On the hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and no sign of that playing out so far. But I am thinking we've got an inflection point here. Bonds may well turn back down. If they break up, that will be quite bullish, actually. So we will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at oil. Right, on all of the oils, we've been having a series of these falling wedges forming, and on two of them, on HO and on RBOB, they've broken up. We've got possible bottoming action, therefore, on all of these. So we'll see how these develop. They're not resolved into particularly obvious IHSs here, reversal patterns, although I do have a possible IHS here on heating oil, which actually I'm going to mark up. So, that's got a target up here at about the 2.26 error, I think. I'll mark that up over to before I do the morning charts. It's I'm quite liking the upside here. I've been liking the upside for days since I saw these wedges. Do we have an obvious reversal pattern here? Not really. I could see this as potentially an IHS, but it's not as good. On CL, we've got a tiny little double bottom that broke up here with a target in the 59 area, and obviously we're well on the way to that. I think this is probably going to break up too, and I think we're starting decent rallies. I am thinking it will likely come back afterwards, although not necessarily to retest lows, so we shall see. Looking at the NG chart, we've had a hell of a move. This is where basically we started it gapped up here over the weekly pivot at the open on Monday, and it's been up a lot. This is not unexpected. I've been talking about this seasonal strength, which might push it up a buck or so for a while. We're coming into the change of the contract over the next week or so, and this is just matching. This was heading up to get that 50 cents of the on the others. So we shall see. We do have a potential overall double bottom here, which I'm watching. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on those. And on WTIC, we've got possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. It hasn't fixed yet, but obviously if we see a decent rally, then it might. Bigger picture, we've got a falling wedge, which is broken up, and we've almost retested the low. Could this be enough for a Double bottom, potentially, yes. The low is at 56.31. It was retesting 56.06. Not quite made it, so I don't like it as much as I would if I had made it. But it's not a bad looking double bottom as we stand right here. It could be that it's going to rally from here and not come back, but my lean would be that it would. Heating oil, we've still got a potential. We've got the same wedge, it's broken up, and I'm looking for a reversal pattern here. We've got a pretty decent looking potential inverted head and shoulders. Not bad at all. Right shoulder, left shoulder low is at 2.042. We've got 2.147 here. Leaning towards it going a little lower, but this is a pretty acceptable looking IHS as it stands right now. Looking at gas oil, we've got exactly the same overall wedge broken up, looking for a reversal signal. Here we have seen a full retest of the low, and we've got a possible second low of a large double bottom. Possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing here on the daily chart. Don't think we've got one of those on heating oil. No, we don't. But still looks pretty good, and I'm liking the rally that I've been talking about. That's looking pretty good too. Looking at the nat gas monthly chart, bigger picture, I think we've got more downside to do, but we've just seen a very big rally off a thorough test of the monthly middle band at 2.99, and we are seeing a nice move up. For the next 2 months, that's a reasonable thing to be seeing. We're back over the weekly middle band as well. On the daily chart, we gapped back over the daily middle band and are heading higher. And we've got here on the bigger picture chart, this doesn't look like a double bottom, but it does look like an IHS which is broken up with a target in the 3.7 area. We're getting pretty close to that, and I think we're going to reach it. In terms of a bigger picture pattern, actually, that's what I've got. So that I'd be leaning towards it probably going a bit higher than that. This could be an IHS here, you see across there, but the right shoulder went rather deep. I'll think about that, and I'll be marking that up at the weekend. That is a potential. This would be the trend line across here, but it's not great. But it's not awful either. We'll see how it goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the gold chart. Okay, looking at GC. GC, we actually had a little level top here, and it broke down with a target in the 3975 area. We had a weak 60-minute buy signal fix overnight. We've now got a full-size buy signal brewing as soon as we retest this low. And I'm thinking we'll make that target, and we've got an opportunity to turn back up there. Looking at silver. Silver, we've got a potential head and shoulders forming here, and where obviously this is a decent looking support level, but it's also a potential head and shoulder neckline, and we may be bouncing here. If so, we could see a rally and then potentially another leg down. Palladium, not as nice, but potentially we've got the same situation there, and platinum, not so much. So not really seeing anything like that on platinum. We have got a 60-minute buy signal fixed on platinum. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed on palladium, and we've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed on silver, and one fixed also on gold. So I am thinking we're probably going to see a rally soon. Looking at HG, HG is likely forming some sort of a flag or a triangle. We will see how that goes, but either way, that's probably going to resolve into a retest of this high here in the 5.26 area. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on those. And gold, as I mentioned, on my bigger picture chart, has gone through one of the trend lines, and that opens up this trend line potentially as a target. Hard to say where that is, as this is obviously a log scale chart, but it is a lot higher. An awful lot higher, and actually just for reference, this doubles between here and here to 4,400. So we're not talking about as much as that, depending on time, but we could be looking at a target which would be up in the 7,000 or 8,000 area. Just throwing it out there. We shall see. In terms of the monthlies, we've got no negative divergence. In terms of the weeklies, we've got no negative divergence. On the daily chart, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal which has fixed. That could deliver. This is now already the biggest retracement we've seen since this triangle broke up. I'm thinking potentially we could form larger patterns and go a bit lower. But do I think this is the big high on gold? I'm not really seeing much to suggest that. If we're going to see that, if we're going to see that anytime soon. I would expect to see a retracement and then a retest to the high to set that up. And I'm not seeing that yet. I'd expect to see really some retrace. Normally we'd see some retrace, some negative divergence on the weekly and monthly charts, and we haven't got that. On silver, again, we've got we're back below the old all-time high, but obviously that's been broken with some conviction. No negative divergence on the monthly, no negative divergence on the weekly. And on the daily chart, the RSI 5 sell signal is fixed, and the weak RSI 14 sell signal is fixed, obviously, as well. On palladium, we are looking at possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing on the weekly. We have got big resistance here. This wouldn't be a bad place to fail, although this could be the start of a breakup and just a bullish consolidation before that happens. No divergence on the daily chart here, so we shall see. Looking at platinum, no divergence on the monthly. We've got some divergence on the weekly, possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing, possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. On the daily chart, we had an RSI 14 sell signal fixed a while ago, and the RSI 5 sell signal made target yesterday at the daily lower band. So this has been a pretty decent retracement. Could go further. I'm wondering about those possible head and shoulder patterns that may be forming here. Looking at copper, RSI 14 sell signal fixed, RSI 5 sell signals reached possible near miss target. I'm thinking this is probably topping out, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this high here at 5.2, looking at the short-term patterns. GDX, no divergence on GDX weeklies either. I'd be leaning again if we're going to see a big reversal towards a retracement and a retest, and obviously this would be the retracement. On the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. The RSI 5 sell signal has made target. On GDXJ, the same. Hourly charts, I'm not seeing. Hang on. Hourly charts, no current divergence. And nothing particularly obvious in terms of larger patterns, unless this is a head and shoulders forming, which it could be, obviously. All right, great. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the other commodities. KC, I'm leaning towards it going higher. Although I was leaning towards it going to a retest of that high. If we might have made that on the longer term chart already. We've got a 6-minute sell signal fix, hasn't delivered much so far. Got a potential double top here. We'll see how that goes. Looking at sugar, very much a potential double bottom here. I was leaning towards seeing a retest this low. We've seen it. I'm wondering about a reversal back up here. Weak 6-minute buy signal is fixed, and obviously that hasn't delivered much yet either. Looking at CC, we've got nice looking bear flag forming, and we're testing resistance on that bear flag at the moment. So waiting to see. Obviously the buy signal made target. I'm thinking we could see a decent rally here, but I'm leaning towards the downside on the bigger picture for reasons I'll explain on the bigger picture chart. CT, we've broken up from an IHS with a target in the 65-70 area. I'm not seeing any particular reason to think that won't make target. Looks like a bullish consolidation at the moment. On lumber, we made it down to the monthly pivot. The sell signal, 60-minute sell signal made target. I think this is a bear flag breaking down. I don't see an obvious topping pattern here. We could be forming the right shoulder on a head and shoulders. Equally, we could retest the high here to set up the second high of a double top. ZW, we've broken up from an IHS with a target in the 511.75 area. That could be failing, but isn't close to failing yet. Looking at corn. We are at resistance at the moment, and a decision is being made as to whether we'll head back up and retest this high. I favour that. I'm generally pretty bullish on wheat and corn, and soy not so much, although we've been seeing some decent upside on that too. We've got a full-size 6-minute sell signal has fixed, hasn't made target yet. We're reaching trendline resistance, and I'm wondering what will happen there. Thinking we could reverse there if we break up. It's too large to be a bull flag, but I'd expect to see at least some follow through. On ZL, but this looks like a bear flag forming. On live cattle, leaning towards seeing a retest of the high. The 6-minute sell signal has already made the possible near miss target. And on HE, we've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fix, and that hasn't made target yet. Obviously, we could have some bottoming action here, and we're just breaking up from a falling wedge. So I'm thinking potentially we could see a big move up after this. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture on those. Okay. Coffee, we'd actually get some really nice negative divergence on the monthly RSI 5 if we can retest this high here at 4.313. I'm expecting to see that. I'm not. We might have done that overnight. I'm not sure. If not, I think that needs to be done, and really, best pattern setup here. That would give us a small double top as well. Retest 4.408, that would give us a large double top. So actually, I'd like to see that retested as well. Sorry, that's on the weekly chart, not the monthly. On the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, not delivering anything so far. We're pretty close to the high retests here, and I'd quite like to see those done. Sugar, no current divergence on the monthly chart. RSI 14 sell signal is reaching the possible near miss target at the moment. Weekly chart, RSI 5 buy signal fixed. We've got this nice looking falling wedge here, and I think we're bottoming out within the wedge. Now, maybe that we're going to see a breakdown, in which case I've got a big head and shoulders here, which would come spring back into play. But it's a nice looking falling wedge, and at the moment it looks like it's bottoming out here at support. Looking at the daily chart, we've now got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. And that's encouraging. Nice looking double bottom. We'll see how that goes. But this is a smaller double bottom than the one shown. This would be the double bottom resistance here. So should more than get us back to the declining resistance here, which potentially would be a significant breakup. Looking at cocoa, cocoa broke some pretty decent support here. There's no obvious case for a flag falling, and we have actually broken down for a technical level top with a minimum target at 1500. That seems kind of low. This does seem a bit oversized, but we are, as you can see, and if you go back further, you will see more of it. And we are, by historical standards, we reached nosebleed levels on cocoa, and if we are reversing back to the longer term areas, which is the way this has tended to trade, that wouldn't surprise me a bit. In terms of the daily chart, wondering about a rally here. We've got a week 6-minute buy signal, week RSI 5 buy signal fixed on the daily. On the week chart, we've got a very nice looking potential level bottom. On the corn chart, we've got no divergence on the weekly chart, but obviously we've got a lovely looking potential level bottom, and we are holding the weekly middle band. And we've been holding it for several weeks. On the daily chart, we've got a potential inverted head and shoulders here, and this, if it breaks up, could take us much of the way back to this retest this high here at 504. We have got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. It's not much of a signal, and it's not really been delivering much so far. Looking at soybeans, overall, I've got this as a bear flag. We could see some more upside within that bear flag, but overall, in the end of the day, I'm expecting to see a retest of this low here at 93606. Looking at cotton, we've already got a very nice looking potential level bottom here, but it's not really moved in many weeks. So waiting to see how that's going. At the moment, it's crawling along under the weekly middle band. This is leaving a significant risk of move to the downside in my view. Lumber, this looks like a bear flag too. We've also got a double top that's already broken down here with a target down at a retest of this low here at 35250. I'm expecting this to turn over and start playing out towards that target again. In the short term, we need to get back below the daily middle band. This has been solid support for quite a while here. At the moment, it is holding. It may continue to hold, but if we can see a break and conversion of that, then that could open the path to the downside pretty nicely. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at cryptos just to finish off. Okay, Bitcoin. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the weekly. We've also got this double top which has broken down, and we've now broken down below the weekly chart, and at the moment we're not going back up to it. We have back tested it as resistance this week and no more than that. Looking at the daily chart, no current positive divergence. We could easily have set up some when we got down here, but we didn't. That is increasing the odds that we see a move towards the double bottom target. And the other thing that's also increasing the odds of that is that we've been seeing, obviously, a limited but a significant rally and going back to the highs on equities this week, and we've not been seeing that on Bitcoin. We might be currently losing the 200 DMA and opening up this target below. We will see. Looking at the hourly chart, no current divergence, nice looking double top. And I'm thinking the odds of this playing out are rising day by day. Looking at the weekly chart here on Solana, Still holding the daily middle band, slightly above it, slightly below it right now, but Ethereum and Solana have still been holding on to their weaker middle bands. And while that remains the case, there's definitely room for optimism on the bullish side, even if it's not behaving as bullishly as it should do. Looking at the daily chart here, we are well below the daily middle band. I've got that now at 203. It's coming down fairly rapidly as well. So I'd love to see a full retest of that, but I'm wondering if we might see a fail there. I'm looking at the hourly chart. There's no obvious pattern to take this lower, really. Maybe a head and shoulders here. Maybe, actually, the shoulders would be a reasonable match. All right, I'll be thinking about that. Maybe we do have a pattern there. We could have a head and shoulders forming. We will see. Looking at the daily chart on Ethereum, again, we haven't made it back up to the daily middle band, and I would like to see that. Looking at the hourly chart, do we have a pattern here? Possibly a head and shoulders, not as nice as the Solana one, which, as I mentioned, actually isn't that nice anyway. So we do have a head and shoulders potentially, which is breaking down here. That's probably the one I would go with. All right, I'll be marking those up in the next couple of days and doing a post talking about the possibility of all of those, because I think the way that the crypto's been going while equities have been doing this rally is not particularly encouraging, particularly when I'm expecting equities to retest the high and potentially fail there. So we shall see. All right, great. In that case, that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Sunday.